Hello down there, up here, up there, over there, but everywhere around the world. Welcome to another Fundamentalist Fails. And it is Friday. It's my favorite day because I get to fail some fundamentalists, which is always a great time. Yeah, I don't know what's up with these YouTube usernames. If Google could go ahead and sort out their crap, that would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I don't like what they're doing. It's kind of really crappy. I'm not sure what's happening there, but hey, it's Friday, and today do I have a treat for you because I really felt like doing something that we can really laugh at, and my go-to is usually a Hovind of some description. Okay, so if it's not sort of the Hovind the greater or the elder, it's usually Hovind the lesser. So either Eric or Kent Hovind. And I came across this, and it was just too good. It was just too good, absolutely too good. And I decided to grab it. So it's mostly him. It's sort of set up as he is talking about like your best evidence for evolution kind of thing. So it is purely a traditional, and I think it's good for the festive season that we have a traditional Hovind straw man, because when Ken Hovind sets it up as, oh, this is the best evidence evolution has, you know that a straw man's coming, right? You know that absolutely a straw man is on its way and being locked and loaded, because that's what he does. He basically will set it up as, oh, let's give this sort of really weak version of the evidence that we have, tell you, oh, that's the best evidence they have, and then say, oh, isn't that stupid? That's essentially his gimmick. That's his shtick. That's his shtick. And losing wives, that's his other shtick, because that happens a lot. Oh, and committing crimes as well. That's his other shtick. That's it. That's his other shtick. So, con man extraordinaire. So I do apologize. I started a tiny bit late. I was sort of watching the news, catching up a bit, sort of seeing what was going on. It's all insanity. I took a break from the news for a couple of days just to stop going insane. It's insanity. It's insanity. I turned on DeFranco. I usually watch DeFranco to get an overview of social stuff, what's happening, and it's just madness, all madness, and just all crazy, all crazy. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah. But if you were look, if you do enjoy me roasting Hovind, do like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It's fun time. It's a fun time, and you too can. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? There it is. What is going on? Oh, I've done the wrong screen. Okay, that's my fault. Mistake number one. Okay, please don't don't take a tally. All right, please don't take a tally. So you can't like get Kent Hovind on. I've had to go to Rumble. Matt, you better appreciate this. Do you know how much I hate going to Rumble? Rumble sucks. Rumble's terrible. This is Rumble's idea of look at this. Look at this. This frigging platform, I swear. I swear. Watch this. This is the non-full screen of Rumble, right? And this is the full screen. Like, what's wrong with this picture? Either that, or Kent Hovind doesn't know how to upload something so it fills the screen, right? I don't know who's to blame. Probably Kent Hovind, actually. I'm probably blaming Rumble unnecessarily, kind of thing. Now, I usually do download stuff, but apparently I couldn't from Rumble with my program. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. So we're going to have to stream it right off Rumble, which I'm not happy about. So you better appreciate it. Look, likes and subscribes have been mentioned. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying, all right. Just I'll throw that out there. But I think that I think that he's in his element over at Rumble. Like, Rumble's just basically everybody that's does content that would not be accepted on YouTube. Essentially, that's essentially what it is. So Kent Hovind's gone back over to Rumble. He says it's all a big conspiracy. That He's been kicked off YouTube. Look, if you've seen his YouTube content in the past, it is absolutely against YouTube's terms of service. Now, you can say, hey, I don't like YouTube's terms of service. Sure, absolutely. You can say that, okay? You're allowed to protest against it, but what you're not allowed to do is just violate it willy-nilly because you don't agree with it. If that's the case, then don't be on that platform. I've said a lot about this, about how people will agree to terms of service with a company and then not adhere to those terms of service. Nobody really likes having to change or moderate their content because of terms of service. It's just, they have to look out for their company. Just saying, they have to. Because if people are just allowed to violate it, they do have some culpability in that. That's the reality that we live in. But this one's not too bad. It's more, when he starts talking on social stuff. But I'll let her rip, and we can give Kent Hovind a hard time because it's Kent Hovind. And if you don't know who Kent Hovind is, congratulations. You are so lucky. I am so jealous. I wish I could go back in time and experience the stupidity of this man for the first time, because it is like he is impressively dumb. All of his arguments are taken from other people. He's just basically copied them wholesale. They haven't changed in 30 years. They are the same arguments, just repeated over and over and over. What he has gotten better at, what he is a snake oil salesman. He's good at making things sound, reasonable kind of thing. But this is a man of such exorbitant stupidity that he thinks that the craters on the moon were rocks from Earth being shot at the moon by the fountains of the deep opening. Yes, that's right. He thinks that the massive craters on the moon were caused by rocks being shot by water from the Earth. Like, I cannot even explain to you how problematic that is in physics, in astronomical terms. I cannot. How did they get to the rear of the moon? I'm not sure. Nobody knows. It's so wild that even other Christians kind of laugh at this guy. It is absolutely bewilderingly bad. Like, I'm not even sure if he's actually thinking, to be honest with you. He's absolutely... And he is probably my go-to lolcow, because nobody should take this man seriously. Oh, Jess, we got a heat warning in Perth. And I think that everything over 30 degrees Celsius is going to be a heat warning because it's an American site. So we're laughing as it hits like 31 and they've got extreme heat warning. And we're like, you what, mate? Like, you what? All summer's going to be an extreme heat warning. I find it hilarious. Lunar Bukkake. Yes, and it is called the Lunar Bukkake. Thanks, Sapphire. Yep, that's exactly what it is. The amount... Like, water cannot get a rock several tons in weight to the necessary velocities through an atmosphere in order to eject it with the force needed to make those craters in the moon. It is the stupidest thing anybody's ever said. And he doubles down on it. The last great ice age? Okay, well, I haven't heard that one, but I believe you. Good
evening, folks. Kent Hovind and SpongeBob here at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. Tonight is open.
I think Kent Hovind is SpongeBob. I think he is SpongeBob. I think, I think he is.
It is December the 4th, 2025. Evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the world.
No, that would be yours, Ken. That would be yours, and it's not a religion. Like, I've asked him this before, and this is in one of the sort of call-ins that I've done. I said, okay, if it's a religion, what is the object of worship? So religions it's thrown around a lot metaphorically. Like, oh, they're soccer is their religion, or football is their religion, or baseball is their religion, or, Taylor Swift is their religion. You know what I mean? Like, it's thrown around a lot metaphorically. And so the question becomes, well, if we're talking about a literal definition of religion, like what gets to be a religion in society, what gets a tax deduction for being a religion, what qualifies as a religion, right? Like what actually qualifies as a religion? And I think that it has to be an organized system of worship, of adulation, of veneration of something, right? So if you're just a Taylor Swift fan and you love Taylor Swift, but if it's not organized into that veneration, like an actual thing with dogma and rituals around it, then it's not a religion. You're just talking metaphorically, right? That's all you're talking about, is a metaphorical religion. So literally a religion, and I've asked him before, okay, so what is the object of adultation? What is the object of worship of this evolution religion, if it is a religion, right? And he sort of said, well, it's time. You worship time. No one worships time. Time is a problem, right? The fact that all of this stuff, it happened in the past a long time ago, and it's very difficult to find evidence from a past that was a long time ago, doesn't mean we worship that time. No, it's very inconvenient. It's not great. We can't seem to, it's one of those things that is an inconvenient truth. Evolution is a thing, but it's kind of inconvenient. Like it provides problems. So we don't worship time. Time is problematic in the whole evolutionary scale. It's a problem. No one's going, oh, I wish we could have more time. No, nobody's doing that. So I did have a clip somewhere of his face falling when I said there's nobody in the back rooms worshipping time. Like, nobody's doing that. So this sort of, his quips that he has, they sound good to your average Christian, or I'll amend that. Sorry, not all Christians would even think. Most Christians think Kent Hovind's a bit of a joke. To your young Earth creationist who hasn't thought about it a lot, it sounds like a good quip. Oh, they worship time. They love time. They adore time. They worship it. But if you actually start thinking about it and look at it, it's actually a terrible response, because no one's worshipping time. So, Gallifrey or bust, absolutely. Remember Gallifrey. So, what do we worship if it's a religion? The question is still out there. Nobody's given me an answer. You worship science. No, nobody's worshipping science. No, nobody is. Like, we don't go, oh, science, you have the, I pray to you kind of. No, it's just a methodology. And we're very aware of the flaws in science. It has flaws, right? We have flaws in science. We're aware of them. Bias, corporate influence, there are flaws in it. We try to make up for those flaws by, our methodology. It's not perfect. So do we worship it? No. It's crazy. Like, this man is just, he'll say things that sound at surface level, oh, that sounds cool. No, it's not. If you actually look at it, it falls apart. And that's the story of Kent Hovind's life. He will do things that sound quick, easy, they sound pithy, they sound good, but when you actually look at it, they fall apart. And, him being a sovereign citizen, I think you could sum up all of sovereign citizenry with that statement. It sounds good, sounds apt, sounds pithy. When you actually look at it, it falls apart. That's what he is.
You have to imagine that it happened. It take a long time to call that sound.
Well, no, we don't imagine it happened any more than we have to imagine a murder happened. And it's very interesting. I recently did a few series, and if you did catch it, thank you very much for watching. But it was Kanisha Knows Nothing, and it was like me going into this room, and Kanisha uses all of the Kent Hovind stuff. Like it's amazing, and she even takes the titles. Evolution is the dumbest, most dangerous religion in the world, and she just repeats what he says. But when you actually drill down to it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. We don't imagine it happened any more than we imagine how a murder happened, right? We find evidence, we find blood splatters, we find DNA evidence, we find, the murder weapon, we find all of this stuff. It's not us imagining how it happened. It's us finding evidence to back up how it happened. And yeah, you have to make some hypotheses. You've got to make some educated guesses as to how it happened. Like in a murder investigation, you say, hey, could it have happened this way with this person? Yeah, let's investigate that and find the evidence to support it. It's not just them going, oh, well, they come across a scene and go, oh, well, I think that a guy rode an elephant in here and threw a javelin. I'm just going to make it up out willy-nilly. That is not what's happening.
Right up. Okay. SpongeBob saying, you have to imagine. Just imagine an amoeba turned to a whale. Yeah, just imagine.
No, we don't just make it up or imagine it. We don't do that. And the thing is that, when it comes to the two comparative ideas, because he thinks that amoebas and whales were created by a magic man, were created by a god who just flung them into existence. That's imagining things. What we're doing is saying, hey, what evidence do we have around us? Finding the evidence and then saying, here is the best explanation of this evidence that we have in front of us. This is who we would accuse in a murder, and we have the evidence to back it up. We're happy to go to court for this one. Evolution, of course, has been to court. It won. Absolutely won.
Anyway, you can call in tonight if you disagree.
Can you just imagine it?
What was it again? Can you just imagine it? I love it. Anyway, we're on a bunch of channels. We're on
Yeah, a little late, but never mind. He's got his sound bites there.
Facebook, on Rumble, on X, on our own app, Hovind.tv.
Not on YouTube, though. Oh, Sea Science. I think that man is banned off this channel. I think he is banned off this channel for being an absolute douchebag.
Instagram, TikTok. Sign up for all of them. And if they take us off of one, get on someplace else, okay? Let's see. We filmed 4 hours interview with George Jenko last Monday, 2 days ago. And they're going to be aired in about a week or so, right? He said?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So why keep an eye on his show? He got lots of followers. What, 400 million?
You got a lot.
Man.
Yeah, and you're not going to find Kent on YouTube. You probably will on some small channel where he's trying to sneak back on. Last time he got onto YouTube, Coccyx Gibbon basically did a video about it, and he was taken off because I believe, and this is just what I've heard. This is just sort of my opinion. My opinion is that it's correct, but what I've heard, and is just a rumor that I've heard, I cannot confirm this or deny this rumor, that he basically bought subs from some other places kind of thing. So he basically cheated the system, and then they went, okay, well, you're buying subs for engagement. We're going to kick you off. And that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or false. My opinion is it sounds exactly like something he would do. It does sound something like he would do.
Something like that. Okay, here we are tonight, the 4th, December 4th.
Yes, so I apologize if I did download this. My downloader was working for Rumble, which I have done before, right? If my downloader was working for Rumble, I would have just skipped past all of this crap. But
they showed the picture of the gorilla hand right there. Take a close look at this gorilla hand. The similarities to a human hand are remarkable.
Yeah.
Comparing anatomy and characterizing the similarities and differences proves evidence of evolution.
Yeah, and that's one of the evidence. That's not our best evolution. Like the title of this was our best evidence for evolution. That is not the best evidence for evolution. Like that is just one of the things that makes sense, that sort of slots in as an excellent explanation of why evolution is a thing. Like if you look at other manipulators throughout the animal kingdom, for instance, why don't octopus have hands if they are so fantastic and the pinnacle of manipulation? Because they evolved something different. They evolved suckers and tentacles. They do a really good job, though. Yeah.
Okay, Libra, who wrote this? No name on there? I'm sorry, you are deceived, okay? Stupid maybe, but certainly deceived, okay? So I got it all figured out. 1942, there's what the willies look like. 1962, 1982, 1992, 2002, 2012, 2022. The similarities of these Jeeps over many years is evidence of the Jeep's evolution from a common ancestor, probably a covered wagon, 12.6 million years ago.
Well, I mean, so the thing is that, like, they don't seem to understand that automobiles don't breed and like traits don't get passed down from automobile to automobile, right? So but ideas do, right? So yeah, the ideas of, what a wagon should be, what a cart should be, what a automobile should be, they keep sort of evolving their ideas about it. But what you don't get is sort of prototypes, right? So I'm saying, well, where are the prototypes in the animal world, right? So you're comparing these Jeeps to essentially monkeys and apes, right? So you're comparing them to apes. But what we don't see, and I want to show you this, because this is something that I've asked Donnie, and it's sort of, they never answered it, because, sorry, just one second. I did have this, yeah, okay. So what we have with Jeeps, right, is prototypes. Okay, like this, for instance, right? They're sort of more aligned with other types of cars than with Jeeps, right? Like they're just completely different than normal Jeeps, right? And these are actual prototypes that came out, right? That is more like an SVU than it is like a Jeep. That is more like a a sort of, well, a box than it is like, look, there's a Jeep Wagoner, right? It's more like a sedan than it is like an actual Jeep. There was another one I wanted to show. Yeah, it was a Jeep Commander. So this is like, way more like an SUV than it is like an actual Jeep. And that was in 1999. So the question is, well, where are these in the animal world? Where are these things that don't even look like these Jeeps in front of you? In 1999, which was about the stage in between the 1992 and the 2002 one. Where are they? Right? Where are they? Because we don't see them in the animal kingdom. We only see this progression. We don't see anything unusual. But what you get, yeah, the red one looks like a Mini Cooper. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a prototype Jeep. It basically is something that if, you came out with a gorilla that had elements of, a fish anatomy. But we don't get that. We only get this progression that you're talking about here. Right? Like we don't get that. And somebody brought up when they use this, oh, well, it's like cars kind of thing. And a car is never a boat and a boat is never a plane. And then someone brought up, well, what about a seaplane? Right, that is a plane with pontoons, so it acts as a boat. It can land and drive on water, basically. Like that is a combination between a fish and a bird. We never see that, right? Because and the reason why is kind of obvious. It's because automobiles and artificial human constructions don't pass genomes down their lineage. That's why. Like, even when you do get something like a flying fish, right? You get a flying fish. It's a fish and it can also fly. However, it uses fins to fly. It doesn't use wings. It doesn't take from that other branch. And that is because it can only work with what it is passing down through its lineage. Whereas things like a Jeep, you can get a Jeep prototype, as Left-Handed Jedi said, that the one, it'll look more like a Mini Cooper than it does like your traditional Jeep, because we can do that. I mean, this seems really obvious, and it's incredible that Kent is too stupid to understand it, because we can do that with cars, but you can't do that with genes passed down through lineages. I mean, that sounds really obvious. Really obvious.
I think I need a government grant, about $14 million to continue the research. I'd probably get it, wouldn't I? Yeah, probably would. Maybe there's a more logical conclusion from seeing similarities. Maybe a better conclusion would be they had a common designer who used similar features like round tires to meet a common need to function in a common environment. Maybe that's why there's similarities. Maybe the gorilla hand and a human hand have similarities because a more logical conclusion might be, instead of the evolved common designer used similar features like thumbs to meet a common need to function in a common environment.
Yeah, but the problem is that you get other manipulators that are probably superior to human hands. Like, don't forget, you've got the octopus, which has manipulators, and it's got 8 of them, right? Like, it's actually probably better than our manipulators. But what it wouldn't be good at, because it's an octopus, is grasping branches, right? Like that, it wouldn't be that great at it because it lives in the water. It's so wild that this man does not understand the first thing about anything. And we know that sort of crabs are a very popular feature of evolution as well, for some reason. Evolve those crabs.
You guys just don't get it.
No, Ken, you don't get it. This is not, and this sort of looking at similar phenotypes, like how things look, is not the strongest evidence for evolution. It isn't, right? The genetic evidence is definitely the strongest evidence for evolution, but Kent doesn't know enough to talk about that. So he pretends that this is the strongest evidence, because what you have is evolutionary traits that are developed that are the same between, sort of, they do the same function, but they have been evolved separately. Like the eyeball, for instance. Can't remember what it's called. It's a convergent evolution, right? So you know, it's like, for instance, the best example of it is that bats and birds can both fly. Right, they have the same sort of traits as far as, you know, body mass and body to wing ratios and the area of their wings, kind of thing, because their wings need a certain amount of area in order to push on the air. So they both have evolved similar structures, but they evolved them separately, right? So that's why they're so different. So the eyeball is one that it's evolved in octopus. Man, I love the octopus for an evolutionary example. It's absolutely fantastic. And in humans and other animals differently. Like, they have a different setup for the octopus. So they evolved separately. But because it is so useful, they will evolve it. Like, it's sort of one of the things that keeps being evolved, because it is such a useful thing to have. You know, it is just so useful.
I want to get it. I understand. Evidence from living species. Libertic. Just as Darwin did many years ago, today scientists study living species to learn about evolution. They compare the anatomy, embryos, and DNA of modern organisms to understand how they evolved.
Yeah, and DNA would probably be the strongest evidence, but Kent doesn't know about DNA. He doesn't understand anything about DNA, so he'll probably just focus on anatomy and embryos and ignore the DNA part completely.
Let me give you the Hovind translation. Just as intelligent people have done for years, today's thinking scientists study living species to learn about God's creation. They compare the anatomy, embryos, and DNA of modern organisms to understand why the Creator designed them as they are.
Yeah, no, that's not a very good, that's a straw man. So because you're sort of saying, hey, the DNA does not point to shared evolution, and it absolutely does. There's a lot of things in it that point us towards a shared evolution, and the nested hierarchy of that DNA. Like, we share always more DNA with other apes than we do with monkeys, for instance, but we share more with monkeys than we do with other vertebrates, kind of thing, right? Like, we share way more with monkeys in particular, and then we share more with those mammals than other vertebrates. We share more with vertebrates than invertebrates, right? Like, this all comes into a nested hierarchy that we will share more with the things that we're connected to than the ones that are completely different, like the octopus, for instance. And we split off. Well, ERVs, yeah, no, I get you. I get you, Jinx. I totally get you. Jin, sorry. Zin, yeah, absolutely. I think that is the strongest evidence. But the only time I've managed to ask Kent about ERVs, he basically said, I've never looked at it. Donnie, ask Donnie. And which it was just a total fail, because people keep bringing it up to him, and he keeps saying, oh, I will look at it and get back to you. And he never does. Never does. He's just a liar.
Who'd have thunk? Maybe that might be the way they ought to do it, huh? Maybe they should give God the glory. They don't want to give God the glory for his creation.
Oh, it's not that we don't want to, and a lot of Christians do. That's the thing. Like, he sort of says, he makes these conflations, right? He sort of says, oh, well, evolution is sort of denying God, and it's there to deny God. But what he completely leaves out is there's a whole bunch of very devout Christians that acknowledge that evolution is a thing. Hell, the Catholic Church acknowledges evolution is a thing. They absolutely say, yeah, that's the scientific evidence points to evolution. And then they just say, hey, that's the mechanisms God used. Okay. But sort of he wants to make this false conflation that, hey, if you believe in evolution, then you're against God. And that is not necessarily the case. It is not necessarily the case, because there are a whole bunch of Christians that do believe in evolution.
I don't have a problem with that. Many times in the day, I'll say something amazing. I say, God, you're truly amazing. Just amazing. Thank you. Thank you for loving us and letting us be part of your family. Analogous structures. See, homologous, they look the same. Analogous, they say they form totally differently, but they ended up doing the same function, really.
Yeah.
Analogous structures that look similar in unrelated organisms. The structures are similar because they evolved to do the same job, not because they're inherited from a common ancestor. For example, the wings of bats and birds look similar on the outside. They also have the same function. However,
yeah, and in the Bible, they kind of lump bats and birds in with sort of the flying kind, right? They sort of lump them into one because people back then didn't know the difference between bats and birds. Now we know there is vast differences between them. Birds lay eggs, bats obviously do not. Like, bats are mammals. It's kind of wild that Kent sort of wants to then claim, oh, well, God designed it, but he used a completely different base of design than this other one for some reason.
wings evolved independently in two groups of animals. This is from that Libre text. This is apparent when you compare the pattern of bones inside the wings. There's a more logical conclusion in Libre text. Maybe they had a common designer who used similar features like ground tires to meet a common need to function in a common environment. Maybe some animals need wings to fly around. Maybe there's a reason other than evolution.
Why? Like, why? If feathers are so good and birds are the best flyers out there, why create something different that isn't as efficient? Right? You've got birds that can glide for days on end. I believe there's an albatross which like rarely lands. Like, why? Oh, actually, it's a bar-tailed godwit, longest non-stop flight. 11 days in the air. Like, why do that? Why go, oh, well, here's a great design, but I'm going to make another one that's not as efficient just because? It's never answered because Kent never talks about the rationality of his beliefs. He only wants to attack evolution. A much more logical answer is that birds and bats evolved separately. Bats still needed to fly, so they worked with the structures that they had. But you see, bats have not lost their unfused thumb on their wing, right? Whereas birds have. Their skeleton has become fused.
You guys cannot see outside your little bitty box you're locked into. Got to be evidence for don't look outside the box. Oh no, okay. Here you go.
Really? Really? Oh, we've looked outside the box, mate. There's a whole load of different explanations of how we got here and how everything's related. It's just, like, this is a guy that will give basically any kind of anything in the world. He'll say, oh, well, that's a product of God. I mean, who's in a box here? And who is actually giving the explanations of stuff? Because you don't... This is the thing. They don't explain anything. They don't explain anything. What they do is they account for stuff by giving the greatest rescue device, which is God decided to do it this way. That doesn't explain anything. It just basically kicks the can down the road and saying, well, you've got to ask God. And Kent Hovind has literally kicked the can down the road saying, well, I don't have the answer. Ask God when you die. And it's like, but you're not giving an answer. You're not explaining anything. What evolution does is it explains why we see what we see. What you say is God decided to do it that way because of reasons. That's not an explanation. It is an excuse as to why you don't have to answer the question.
Comparative embryology, vestigial structures, comparing DNA. These are all things they say are evidence for their dumb religion. Vestigial structures like the human tail.
What do we worship, Kent? What do we worship in this religion that you call it? Because, yeah, I mean, some people study evolution religiously. Sure, yeah. But it's a metaphor. It's not their actual religion, right? Like, it's just like I could play games religiously, or I could read religiously. Like I read this author religiously, right? Like, it's just a metaphor. So this is something that Kent the Conflator, he conflates things all the time. He will conflate the metaphor of religion with the literal description of a religion and conflate the two, and then basically try to suggest one is a literal religion. But if you're saying it is a literal religion, what do people that believe in evolutionary theory, what do they worship? What is their focus of veneration? Because if you say time, it's not time. Nobody's worshipping time. If you say, oh, it's evolution, no, nobody's worshipping it. It's very inconvenient at times. What are they worshipping? And if he cannot answer, then it's not a religion. And, he's got to stop conflating all of these things. But he hasn't changed his tact in 30 years. I don't know why he would now. But don't, and this is the problem. These conflations, they sound good to, a young earth creationist who wants to believe, oh, evolution is a religion. But when you actually drill down to it, the conflation's really easy to see. Is physics a religion? Is psychology a religion? Is biology a religion? If it is, then, I mean, what's even a religion anymore?
Whale and whale pelvis, called vestigial structures. Evolution has reduced the size because the structures are no longer used. Human appendix, another example. It's a tiny remnant of a once larger organ.
Well, I don't think, no, like, this is, I don't know where he got this from. I don't think he's quoting off of any kind of, I mean, he pointed to Libra, which I think is just, I don't think that's an accredited site, but I think it's where people send stuff in. I think it's an open source educational platform kind of thing. Like, it's just open source, which is not a good place to get, it's not a good place to get scientific data from, is an open source sort of wiki kind of thing, which people can send stuff in. But I don't know where he's getting this from. He is incorrect. He's just wrong. Vestigial structures are not structures that are no longer used. They are structures that are no longer used for the original purpose that they had in the past, right? So your appendix, for instance, is a vestigial structure, but it still has a use for holding bacteria. It just isn't the I believe it was a stomach that it used to be used for. It's not anymore because we don't have to process the very coarse and very rough sort of plant fibers that we had in the past. So it's shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, but it's still used for something. So he's wrong about what vestigial structures are. But the human tailbone doesn't really have a function now. It just, we don't really use it for what it used to be used for.
In a distant ancestor, it was needed to digest food. It serves no purpose in humans today. These folks have no business writing about biology. They are stupid. Tell them I said so. You don't understand biology. Knock it off. Maybe.
No, I believe the appendix is used as sort of a backup gut bacteria. Like if your gut bacteria gets destroyed, the appendix is kind of, it has sort of more gut bacteria in it. But this is where Kent is straw manning. He's basically straw manning because he's essentially taking vestigial structures, misrepresenting what that is in science, basically saying, hey, it no longer has any function, which is not the definition of vestigial structures, right? That isn't the definition. And then he's saying, oh, but look, I can beat that straw man down. Well, great, but you didn't actually beat the argument down that these things have changed functionality and they don't have the same function that they used to. And I might add, it has a much lesser function than it used to.
You go make video games or something else, but you don't understand biology. It was needed to digest food. It serves no purpose in humans today. Why do you think structures that are no longer used shrink in size? What might a full-sized, unused structure reduce an organism's fitness? Why might, okay. Vestigial.
Well, why don't you answer that? Why might a full, unused structure reduce an organism's fitness? Well, I point to one, wisdom teeth, right? We don't use our wisdom teeth anymore. We don't grind up really coarse plant matter. We cook our food. We don't, chow down on rough grains from the wilderness that we need to use our wisdom teeth to really grind them down. So it's sort of a remnant left over, and they have a tendency to be impacted, for instance, as our mouths sort of get smaller, because we don't need to have bigger mouths. So there's an energy cost, right? So if you're growing structures that you don't need, there's an energy cost to that. And see, Kent just isn't addressing the question. So being growing and maintaining a full-sized, appendix that's the size of a stomach, it basically is a cost that you're expending energy doing so that you don't need to expend. Right? And there's also the problem that, like with wisdom teeth, they impact because other things are changing around them. And if they stay, they can have massive problems and even kill people. Tons of people have, over the history of humans, have died from infected wisdom teeth because they impact, or they don't grow properly, or something else happens and they die. I had a really bad wisdom teeth, impaction and had to get them taken out, kind of thing. It's because our mouths are generally getting smaller and smaller.
Structures. Here we go. The human tailbone has no apparent use. Really? Okay. The coccyx, that's the tailbone.
Well, I don't know it has no apparent use, but it has very little apparent use. It really doesn't do a lot. I sort of looked this up, and it does secure a couple of muscles, but we don't really need it. Like, so we sort of take them out. It's called a coxcotomy, right? So this is sort of, what we do if there's extreme pain in the coccyx or tailbone. We do take out that section of bone, and there are some side effects that sort of do occur, but we don't really need it for anything. Hello? There we go.
A small bone at the end of the human vertebral column. Actually, it's several bones, okay? It has no present function and is thought to be the remainder of bones that once occupied the long tail of a tree-living ancestor. Really? Somebody said, I want to see Crybaby's tailbone removed.
Okay, so that's Creationist Crybaby, friend of the channel and all-round awesome person. Creationist Crybaby calls in a long time. So this is stupid. This is like, I want to see Crybaby's tailbone removed. We've got people have had their tailbone removed, sir. You can just look up the medical reports on it. Why wouldn't you be able to? We do it a lot.
Remember that comment? Crybaby recalls it all the time. Let's see. Here is the anatomy of your hind end. You have different muscles, gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus, etc. And they attach to the pelvic region and to the tailbone. There's a very complex system of nerves and muscles that attach to the tailbone. Okay. There it is right there, the coccyx. Okay. Coccyx serves as an attachment site for tendons, ligaments, and muscles. It also functions as an insertion point of some of the muscles of the pelvic floor. Keep your guts from falling out between your legs, okay? The coccyx, let's see.
It doesn't actually like keep your guts from falling out. That is not a thing. Like, that is just Kent being stupid. What it does is it helps you with ablutionary functions, right? So going to the toilet and things like that. So what I'll sort of show you is this is for a coccectomy, right? Like, so it's basically removing your coccyx, right? So people can have pain in their coccyx and they remove it. We only do it if it is the pain is not able, and that is the removed coccyx, right? That's what it looks like when it comes out. It's not done unless it is extreme pain and we can't treat it any other way, because we generally try to avoid surgery and things like that. But there has been excellent results. This is sort of a case study of a lot of different people that have had their coccyx removed with good and excellent results, kind of thing. The percentages are in there. So 88% have good, excellent, and good results. There are complications, and that sort of stands out. This wooden me bob, 30% complication rate is kind of high. I don't know what they were doing, but we do this a lot. It's not like it's unheard of, right? But we don't do it for no reason. Now, there are complications regarding lifestyle. They sort of they talk about, hey, it's going to be uncomfortable for a while until it heals. Once it is healed, you may have to work on pelvic floor exercises. You may have to do other exercises to keep those muscles and ligaments strong around other parts of your body in order to live a normal lifestyle without having, urination problems or things like that, right? But this really does not impact the person that much, right? Like, it really does not. Okay, so the question becomes, why can we remove it? And as long as they keep up exercise and stuff, why is it completely fine? That's the question. And we do it all the time. Well, not all the time, but we do it in enough cases that they can make studies about it. So this whole thing of, if you get it removed, your guts will fall out. No, absolutely not. No. Like, what are you talking about? So this is the idiocy of Hovind. He thinks, because muscles are connected to it, as soon as you take it away, suddenly your guts fall out. What are you talking about, you colossal tool?
Functions to support and stabilize a person while he or she is in the sitting position. Really? This book says, Discover Magazine. This is all that is left of the tail that most mammals still use. They're still teaching this lie in 2004. They should have known 30 years ago. It's not
a lie.
Not vestigial. Humans have a tailbone that's of no apparent use. The vestigial tailbone in humans is homologous to the functional tail of other primates. Here's Gray's anatomy. Attachment of muscles. To 4 pairs and 1 single muscle on either side, the coccygeus, behind the gluteus maximus and exterior coccygesis was...
Yeah, and so when they say it's homologous, they're basically saying, hey, it matches up with other mammals that have tails, right? And so the reason why we know that that it can form a tail is because we've got instances of human children being born with tails, and we still have, and the genetics is something that Kent avoids like the plague, because we still have the genetics for a tail, right? We still have that in us, but it's not expressed. So there was a study that had us change the genetics of mice so they did not form tails, right? Yeah, there's something from... Yeah, so basically we changed the genetics of mice in the same way humans are, and they lost their ability to grow a tail. And we still have human tails coming up. Now, I won't show you the pictures of this. This is kind of pretty disgusting kind of thing. Or I'll give you a glance and then, you know, move on, because they're pretty full on. But like, we have tails, and I wanna like point at this sort of classification of human tails, or caudal appendages. So this was funny because, like, when I did the debate against Jim Bob, he's like, "Oh, what is a tail?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a caudal appendage, you know, connected to this, that, and the other." And you know, the funny thing was, he was like, "Oh, well, that could be an arm." No, it's not caudal, sir. It's not on the tailbone. So. Darwinesky, true or vestigial tails contains antipose and connective tissue, central bundles of striated muscle, blood vessels, and nerves. Right? So the nerves go down into it. Ounces in Genesis and people like Kent Hovind will say, oh, well, you know, it's just fatty, it's a fatty growth kind of thing. No, it's not. Like, we are literally talking about blood vessels and nerves, bone cartilage, notochord and spinal cord are lacking. Like, so that's a pseudo tail, right? But we also have soft tissue caudal appendages, primarily composed of soft tissue and have small inclusions of cartilage or bone. Bony caudal appendages, primarily composed of bone, includes cases of sacrooccygeal eversion. So basically, that it is connected to the sacrum, right? Like, it is actually connected to the pelvic bone, essentially. Bony caudal prominences. So, you know, true tails, remnants of embryonic tail, contains supernumerary. So many vertebrate, right? So these are all ones that have been, and that was 2017. It has all been demonstrated that humans, if these genes are expressed, humans will grow tails. They're just not expressed. That's all. But this is called an atavism. It's when the genes that usually aren't expressed suddenly turn on. We get the same thing with birds. Suddenly, like, they're born and they suddenly grow teeth. Birds with teeth. Birds don't grow teeth because that gene is present in their DNA. It's just not expressed. So if there is a mutation which causes that gene to express, a human will grow a tail, a bird will grow teeth. Yeah, so this is sort of the thing is, but we've seen these tails. So no, it's not just a fat protrusion. It's not like, they sort of brush by it in Answers in Genesis, saying, oh, well, they're just fat protrusion. No, they're not. We've absolutely recorded this. So yeah, I'd love for him to explain why that happens.
Was when present at the apex, the sphincter ani, and in front, the levator ani. There are all kinds of muscles that attach to the tailbone. If you think it's vestigial, I will pay to have yours removed.
You don't have to. Number one, you're not a doctor. Even if you're not a medical doctor, you're still not a doctor, right? You're not any kind of doctor, Hovind. You are a fraud. We don't allow frauds to perform surgery. And I love how he's like got a bundle of money here, because it really does show what he's after. I actually like this picture. Because he's got a wad of money in his hand. And he doesn't have a scalpel, he has a Swiss Army knife. It just really shows how stupid Kent Hovind is, that anybody would let him near a surgical operation, especially something that operated on or near the spine. Like, seriously, you are out of your mind. Number two, we don't have to remove mine because people have theirs removed, you moron. Like, people actually have pain in their coccyx, and they have it removed if it gets too bad, if it's infected, if any of this stuff happens, we have theirs removed. So we don't need to do unnecessary testing of surgery on people because it's been done, you absolute frigging moron.
Bend over. I'll even sharpen my Swiss Army knife for you, just for the reason, okay?
Yeah, this is just the, dog whistling to his followers of, oh, yeah, I'm so clever. He's not clever because it's an actual surgical procedure that has been done many times in the past. So all it shows is that he's a moron who doesn't actually look up whether it's been done or not. What an idiot.
Critical thinking from Biology Today and Tomorrow. At the end of your backbone is a coccyx, a few small bones that are fused together. Could the human coccyx be a vestigial structure, or is it the start of a newly evolving structure? They give two options, neither of which is correct. If I said, Joy, which is correct? Elephants are orange or elephants are green? They're neither one. And both.
Yeah, it's amazing that Kent doesn't recognize critical thinking. Yeah, so this is from a biology textbook, presumably. Right, so biology textbooks will give you critical thinking exercises within the framework of what they're teaching you. And that's what biology teaches, because it is a recognized scientific fact that evolution happened, and the theory of evolution is what describes it. Like, the allele change happens over time. That is evolution. That happens. Like, that just happens. Even Kent Hovind believes in evolution. He believes in hyper-evolution after the flood, right? That all of these two kinds of creatures got off, 2 or 7, depending on whether they were clean or unclean. And then they hyper-evolved into all the different organisms that we see in front of us, and then the evolution just stopped for some reason, or it just slowed down to almost like a crawl for reasons.
Options they give here are stupid. It's a false dichotomy.
It's not a false dichotomy. It's not. It's just a textbook teaching you within the framework of what it's teaching the students. Because if they want to learn biology, they've got to learn evolution. It is one of the cornerstones of biology. And I know that this idiot doesn't like it because it's sort of, his literal interpretation of the Bible can't be correct if it's true. It's tough. Biology doesn't care about your Bible, Kent. It doesn't. It just cares what has been scientifically demonstrated, and evolution has.
Screen. How do I answer the question, teacher? Neither one's right. You gotta choose one of them. Okay.
Then don't do biology. Because it is one of the cornerstones of biology. And sort of he wants there to be, biology says that God made all of these things as they were because reasons. Like, what evidence do you have for that? Absolutely none. Nothing. But we've got DNA, and you notice how he did not address the DNA evidence at all? This nested hierarchy of DNA that one fits inside another, which fits inside another group, which fits in. He doesn't address it. He never addresses it. He brings it up as one of the most best evidence for evolution. Sure, he'll bring it up, and then he'll conflate with other stuff, talk about homology and stuff like that. He will never actually address it. So he just sort of brushes aside and tries to lump it in with, oh, well, they're just guessing. No, they're not. It's DNA evidence. Seriously, you're an idiot.
Could they be vestigial or newly evolving? Neither one is designed just fine like it is. Human vestigial organs, the coccyx. Vestigial structures from thoughtco.com. They're not thinking at all. I'll debate all of them, okay?
I'll debate all of them. I'll debate your dog. I'll debate anybody. Seriously, my guy, you are a joke. You are a joke.
Let's see. No longer useful parts called vestigial structures, and humans have several of them, including a tail.
Yeah, that is not entirely accurate. It's not that they're no longer useful. They're no longer useful for the function that they used to have.
Tailbone that does not have a tail connected to it, and an organ called appendix, and has no function and can be removed. Okay. Let's see. These are the so-called vestigial structures. You don't need them anymore. Ear muscles.
Yeah, ear muscles. Yeah, some people can still move their ears. I can't. I can't move mine. Some people can, though. Some people can move their ears around. The eyelash, the eyebrow. What are your eyebrows for? Thalamus gland? Yeah, male nipples. Yeah, why do males have nipples? But it's not just whoops. Sorry, my bad. It's not just that it's well, no, I won't do that. It's not just that yeah, wisdom teeth, pineal gland, appendix, body hair. It's not just that they have no function at all, right? It's that they don't have the same function that they used to. So he's just not understanding what vestigial means. And I mean, some like the wisdom tooth, I would argue wisdom teeth have no function whatsoever. All they do is cause problems. They have literally no function. That if people sort of, were not born with wisdom teeth, they would not have any problems whatsoever. Sorry, they just wouldn't.
Muscles, eyebrow, eyelash, tonsils, thymus gland, male nipples, the coccyx, body hair, wisdom teeth. The coccyx is vestigial. There it is right there, the tailbone.
Well, address some of the others, Kent. What's the point of wisdom teeth? What are they used for now? Why have we got them? If God created wisdom teeth for us, why is that? What do they do? What do they do? But he never addresses any of the other ones. He only wants to talk about the ones that he has these answers for. And they're not even good answers.
The tailbone has attachments to various muscles, tendons, and ligaments, including the coccygeus, levator, ani, etc. Okay? Let's see. Overview of anatomy. The coccyx has several important functions. Along with being an insertion site for several muscles, ligaments, and tendons, it serves as one leg of the tripod, along with the other things providing weight-bearing support when a person is seated. Okay. So they know it's got a function. The coccyx is the terminal segment of the spine. The word coccyx derived from the Greek word from the beak of a cuckoo bird, because its similarity in appearance when the latter is viewed from the side. Coccyx has from 3 to 5 fused segments. The largest articulates with the lowest sacral segment. Okay. They're saying it's vestigial. There are 3 to 5 bones.
Yeah, it means that it's not used for the same purpose that it used to have. That is what they're saying. That it has less functionality than what it used to have. And this is the problem. We can take it out without a problem. And yeah, there'll be some things you have to do to maintain a lifestyle, but you can do that. It's not a problem. So my question would be, why does God put it there to be infected, get pain? And sometimes, in fact, through childbirth, you can damage your coccyx and have coccygeal pain and basically like incredible amounts of pain and force us to remove it from the person. So why is that? Why did God do that? He never wants to answer. It's just, oh, we'll just believe that God did it for reasons. For what reason? What reason is the wisdom teeth there? Ken, you never answer that. Ever.
9 muscles that attach to the bones. They're used to support the pelvic muscle floor, a complex muscle system, the colon, and aid in defecation. Take your coccyx out, you got real problems going potty. Might want to wear depend.
No. You just will have to do exercises to strengthen your muscles. No, it's the same as him saying, oh, well, if you take this out, your guts will fall out. No, you moron, that's not going to happen. That's not what they're saying. This is Kent strawmanning yet again. He loves his straw men. He would stuff straw men all day if he could, and sometimes does. Friggin' Kent Hovind, he is the worst at strawmanning. It's the worst. Like it aids in defecation. It doesn't mean that, hey, you're gonna have real trouble going potty. No, No, it aids. It doesn't mean that if you take it out, you're not going to be able to go potty. Ugh, you moron.
Or something else, okay? They allow anchor muscles that allow pelvic thrust to make babies. They support properly aid in birthing babies. Evolution News from the steadily shrinking catalog.
Okay, so Evolution News is a creationist website that they love to, like, they've gotten the name Evolution News, and they basically write all of these things supporting intelligent design, right? It's basically a false flag, essentially, right? So you've got to understand that is a, religious intelligent design website. Nobody takes it seriously. It's a joke in the scientific community. It is not any kind. They have no reputation. Casey Luskin as well is an intelligent design proponent, right? Like, he is and I might add, he has a PhD in geology, right? He's like got a PhD in geology. Like, so why is he writing about this? Because nobody else will write about it. Because they get their scientists where they can, because they don't have any damn support.
Logo functionless, or now the tailbone. They finally decided to take it off the list. Got to take that one off. There is nothing on the list that should be on there.
There is no vestigial organs. Just mean they have changed function, or have they less functionality than they used to have. It doesn't mean they've got none. But it can, right? Like, the wisdom teeth seem to have no functionality whatsoever. I know, I've had multiple removed with a great deal of comfort afterwards. Like, you can't say that, hey, everything has a function, but we're not going to tell you what the function to all these things are. Like, it's wild, right?
No vestigial structures, none, okay? There's the coccyx, the tailbone. Let's see, recently I was invited to give a talk on the evidence for intelligent design at a course in a state university. One of the questions came up was whether there's a function for the coccyx. I explained the tailbone is not a useless vestigial organ. It has a function.
No, vestigial doesn't mean useless. It doesn't. Like, this is just him strawmanning what the actual scientific terms are. It's very, very easy, but he just will not. He's been told this multiple times. But he is dishonest. He is a liar. He does not care that vestigial does not mean useless. He doesn't care. He just will keep repeating it anyway because he is dishonest. He's a dishonest person. He's a tax fraud. He's a con man. He is absolutely dishonest.
It served as an attachment point for various muscles and tendons. Despite its small size, it has several important functions. You can read up on this. Why are they still teaching this as evidence for evolution? Because they don't have any other evidence.
Because sometimes people grow tails out of that thing. Wow. This is the thing. He hasn't gone into the DNA evidence. He hasn't gone into any of the studies that have mice that if we change their DNA, they don't grow tails either. It's kind of wild.
All you have are lies to support your stupid religion. Why humans have tailbones? Oh, they know why, okay? Soft tissues and essential functions of the coccyx from spine-health.com. There it is, the article here.
But the question is, why aren't they just connected to the tailbone further up? Like, why aren't they connected to the sacrum? It would serve the same purpose. There doesn't appear to be a reason why they're connected to the coccyx rather than the sacrum. Like, so why are they there? Like, why are they there? So they can be infected or get damaged and you have to remove them? Like, why?
Serves as a vital insertion site for multiple soft tissues. The coccyx is not vestigial. If you think it is, I'll take.
Yeah, vestigial means it has a different function than it used to, or less of a function that it used to. It doesn't mean no function.
Take yours out. Bend over, okay?
People have had theirs taken out, Kent. You moron. We don't, like, seriously, this guy is an idiot. He thinks that, of all of these coccyoctomies, that we haven't, like, done medical reports on them. We haven't paid attention to them. We haven't actually documented people getting their tailbones taken out. We have. You're an idiot. And we don't do unnecessary surgery. And if we were to do unnecessary, well, that's not 100% true. We do plastic surgery. Yeah, but we do a little bit, but we don't do something on the spine. Like, it has to be necessary. No doctor's going to agree to do that. And nobody in their right mind would let a fraud like you anywhere near somebody's spine to do surgery. I mean, come on. But, this is Ken Hovind's ego. He thinks he's capable of anything. He can do anything. He's the best there ever was. He is an egotistical, narcissistic fraud. That's all he is.
Broad, thin muscles on either side of the pelvis attached to the coccyx anterior surface and help support the pelvic organs. You need it, okay? They've known this for a long time.
You don't need it because plenty of people live without it. And yes, their lifestyle may be affected. They may need to do pelvic floor exercises. They may need to strengthen other muscles, but they live without it. So you don't need it. Okay, you don't need it.
It's not vestigial. Let me go through this forever, okay? There's all kinds of nerves and muscles and ligaments that attach to the coccyx. It's really a complex part of your anatomy.
Okay, so if nerves and ligaments and things attach to it, then it must be needed. So that means that those children that are born with tails who have nerves and muscles and ligaments connected to it, that must mean that tail is needed. Right, Kent? Right? That would mean that's needed under your definition, right? Oh no, that's not needed. It's completely just a absolute fraud.
If you ever bruise or break your coccyx, you will know it for months afterwards. Okay?
Months afterwards, you can hurt your coccyx and it will be in pain for the rest of your life. That's why they're removed, Kent. That's why we take them out. You haven't read up on it at all, you moron.
Vestigial structures. Let's see. What do they got? ThoughtCo. Human body has many examples of vestigial structures.
I love how he's just going to random websites, like they're in some way, he'll just go to random websites with pop articles and creationist websites. Yeah, no, we generally don't do that, sir, because that's for the public, not for medical people. But, conflationary Kent, he just wants to conflate everything.
You guys are ignorant of your biology, okay? Everybody call him, tell him I said so.
Call them, tell them I said so. Yeah, no, I don't want to be laughed at today, Kent, because if I call up the scientists and say they're idiots because Kent Hovind said that vestigial means that they have absolutely no function and they're not vestigial because they do have a slight function, they're going to laugh at me because I would be a moron like you.
Scientists reported, while it's far from useless, it's no longer a tail. It never was a tail. It's been this way because that's what we needed, just like it is, okay? Human tailbone is a vestigial organ. Explain. Coccyx remains of a tail from our ancestors. This is stupid, I say.
Yeah, vestigial are the organs which were functional in their past but lost its function during the course of evolution. That doesn't mean it lost any function. It can have a new function. It can retain some of the functionality it used to have but lose a major part of it. That is essentially what it means. So all Kent's doing is just basically lying about the definition of a word in science and then pretending he's shot it down. He hasn't. He's just out and out lying. That's all he's doing. He's just lying.
If you think it's vestigial, I'll pay to have yours removed. Bend over, okay? Have you ever thought how handy a tail would be? You ever come to the door with 2 sacks of groceries? Huh? You could open that door and walk right.
Yeah, we didn't evolve with doors, Kent. We evolved in the African savannah where there is no doors. You moron. Like, this is such a stupid argument. Oh, a tail would be really useful for opening doors. I'm sorry, did we evolve with a lot of doors around? And the need to carry groceries? Wow.
You drive down the highway, hold the Coke, and tune the radio knob all same time.
Yeah, so the reason why we don't have tails, essentially, or even any apes have tails, is because tails are great for grasping branches and things like that. But once you get above a certain weight, the tail can't be that useful anymore. And it will probably be selected against. Because like I said, the question that in the critical thinking part that Kent brought up that he didn't address is what would be the cost of having an appendage that is no longer used for its original purpose. And the answer is it's an energy cost. It's a nutrient cost. It's having to expend energy to support those cells and grow that appendage that we just don't use anymore. Okay, that's the cost. And so it will be selected against. That if we don't use them, then the people that don't have to spend the energy doing that will be selected for. That is essentially what happens.
Because we didn't need it. That's idiotic. Humans do not have a vestigial tail bone. That's evidence for evolution. It's evidence of a designer. I will praise thee, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. How about the whales? Is the whale pelvis a vestigial structure? No longer.
Yeah, absolutely, TP Seeker. Yeah, no, they are rare. No, I got you. 40 cases? 40? Give me 1 second. It may be that many, but the thing is that mutations that cause the expression of those genes are rare as well. But what you've got to understand that if you look at the genetics, it is not a mutation which causes a structure of a tail to be mutated into that. We have the genetics to be able to grow a tail. It is just a mutation that causes that to be expressed. And we found that out by studying mice and changing the expression of their tail so they don't grow tails anymore. So we basically applied the same sort of genetics to mice and they don't grow tails anymore. They still have the DNA there to grow tails. It's just if you turn off that expression, they don't grow it anymore. So you and I have the genetics for a tail. It's just that if you change a genome, it isn't expressed, so you will not grow with it. And that's important to understand. Yeah, and that's the question he doesn't have. Why might a full-sized unused structure reduce an organism's fitness? And he doesn't answer that because he has no interest in actually thinking about it.
Longer used. That's what AJ said in one of the debates I did with him. One of the main lines of evidence is these fairy tale promoters use to fool children and simple-minded adults into joining their cult is they say whales have bones in their abdomen.
Man, like AJ, Atheist Jr. lives in this guy's head rent-free, I swear. Like the last debate he did with AJ was maybe a year or a couple of years ago or something. He's still on about it. There's this guy, there's a few people that absolutely live rent-free in his head. Absolutely. It's incredible. And you'll find this with narcissists. Like when they get somebody who really cooks them, they will be talking about them forever. Like it's actually wild.
That they don't need anymore. These bones are not attached to the spine. Joy, do you know where the bone is in our museum, the whale pelvic bone?
Yes. So the appendix is a vestigial organ, right? It used to be a stomach. Like we can see how it evolved and the different iterations it had as a stomach, but it basically was not used because we weren't using plant matter anymore. So now it acts as a storehouse for your gut bacteria, right? So it's like a backup of your gut bacteria. That was not its original function. That's what it does now. It is useful. Not that useful though. I mean, so if you get appendicitis, and keep getting appendicitis, you may have it removed. It isn't preferable, but you don't need it, right? Like you can still lead a perfectly healthy life without an appendix, and many people do. It's just that if your gut bacteria gets wiped out by some kind of antibiotics or something, you may take longer to recover. That's all. Like it isn't that useful anymore.
It's about this big and this big around. It's I meant to get that for tonight, but oh well. They don't have legs or feet, but with a lot of imagination and manipulation, they can be claimed to be the remnants of hips. Okay, let's see. Whale bones have not attached to the spine. Here's the many organisms retain traces of their evolutionary history. I think it's on one of the shelves instead of on the with all the. You walk in the last room on the right. I saw it there the other day. Anyway, if you can find it, bring it. Okay. Many organisms retain traces of their evolutionary history. The whale retains pelvic and leg bones as useless vestiges. Really. Jeannie Scott at the Berkeley Museum out there, National Center for Misinformation. She said, we're working to defend the teaching of evolution against sectarian attack. That would be religion. We're a nationally recognized clearinghouse for for information and advice to keep evolution in the science classroom and scientific creationism out.
Yes. Yes. I don't know why we would allow religion to be in the science classroom. Science is very specific. And Kent does this conflation. He does this fallacy of etymology where he goes, oh, well, science just means what we know. From Latin, scientia just means knowledge. No, that is not what science is. Just because that's the origin of the word doesn't mean that that's what it means. It is a methodology. It is a certain way of doing things. And starting with your favorite religious book that you believe in, bring it in and saying, hey, we've got to find this as the result, is not science. So yes, scientific creationism is not science. It is pseudoscience, and we have very particular definitions of what that is. Pseudoscience will generally hand wave away any evidence, which they do. They will insist on a certain conclusion over any other, which they do. This is a scientific creationism is a pseudoscience. It absolutely is. But instead of going through the scientific process as required by science and presenting your evidence, presenting your conclusions, having it peer reviewed, having it looked at by experts in their field, which is how science works, what they want to do is convince the public who have very little knowledge of the scientific discipline to pressure them into changing what science is. This is not the way to go about it, and it will render science useless. But, Kent Hovind doesn't care about that as long as he is bilking people for money. I mean, you saw his thing. He had a fistful of money. That is the most accurate definition of Kent Hovind I've ever seen. Because he's prepared to do something completely unnecessary, which he has no expertise in whatsoever, for money. That is the best picture of Hovind. Hang on, I'm going to find it again. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. That is the best picture of Hovind. An absolute idiot with no expertise in something, willing to do something completely unnecessary in order to get money. That is Kent Hovind summed up, while grinning like an idiot, thinking he knows what he's doing. That is the perfect picture for Kent Hovind. Because he's a moron. And grinning like an idiot because he's the best that ever was. He can do surgery, no problems. Yeah, you're not a doctor. Of any kind whatsoever. You are not a doctor.
Nationally recognized clearinghouse for information and advice from education. When I went there, I just walked around, looked at their bookstore, all their books on atheism and evolution.
Yeah, the problem is that we've got a number of fossils that kind of show that like a series of fossils that have their legs getting smaller and smaller and smaller towards fossils. So we've got Pakicetus, then Amblyocetus, then Coccyx, then Rhodocetus, then Durodon, and then Basilosaurus, right? Like, so Basilosaurus is kind of, just before whales, essentially. Basilosaurus, pretty cool animal. And it sort of has these jutting out things. I'm trying to find a picture of one. Because it had like these jutting out fins like just before. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is Basilosaurus, right? This is a fossil of Basilosaurus. And you're like, oh, well, it's just a whale. No. I mean, it has teeth, unlike, not like whale teeth. They're different kind of teeth. They have less, larger, less large fins. And here, let me show you something. See these? Check out that. No, like, this is a real fossil. This is a real skeleton. Do you see that? Hang on, I'll zoom in a bit because it's very hard to see. Whoops, now my thing is in the wrong place. Hold it. Right here. That's Basilosaurus. It's the closest fossil we have found to whales. Oh, those almost look like legs, Ken. Those are toes. What's the whale doing with toes, Ken? What's the whales doing with toes? Oops. Oh no. And, you know, it's got its blowhole in a different spot as well. I don't know if you can see that up front. It's got its blowhole in a different spot. Right? So it's sort of moved up over the time. But this is just one in a long series of fossils we have found of the transition to you know, a whale, essentially. You know? I don't know what to tell you. That whale do have feet. Whoops. Uh-oh.
One of the guys walked up, looked at me, and said, "Are you Ken Hovind?" His name was Skip, I believe. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, no, you're standing in our building." I said, "That's because I can't fly." When I left, they taped a piece of paper on the floor. Ken Hovind's here. Skip, Jeannie, call for a debate anytime. Both of you together. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland.
Yeah, so in science, things are not decided through debate. I mean, debating's fun. It can be interesting. It can be entertaining. It can be enlightening for the public, sure. But that's not how people figure out in science. They write papers and then they debate other experts. And you, sir, are no expert. You have less of a concept of evolution than a high schooler does. Like, he really, like, I don't know if that's true or whether he pretends to, but, like, if you think that vestigial, after being told multiple times that it doesn't mean it has no function at all, right? If you think that's what it means, then you are just stupid.
Whales have a vestigial pelvis and leg bone that serve no purpose. Really, serve no purpose. They're evidence of the whale's evolution from four-legged land-dwelling mammals. Many whales have hind limbs, which have been reduced to only a few tiny internal hind limb bones.
And the thing is, he shows it on screen, the fossils that we have found. What, is this a conspiracy, Ken? Is it like your taxman conspiracy? Is it the work of the... Don't fall for the devil's lies. Yeah, it's the work of the devil. Hey, look, God put the fossils there to test your faith. Jeez, I think that God put creationists on Earth to test our faith in humanity, our faith in humanity's intelligence. Like, seriously, he's got a picture of one of the fossils there. I can't see which one it is. Yeah, it doesn't look like Basilosaurus. It really doesn't. It doesn't at all. Hang on a second. Let me have a look. Yeah, I don't know what that one is, but anyway, we've got a long line of fossils that have their legs disappearing until they're basically a whale with hind legs, and then modern whales look very, very, very similar, except they don't have hind legs. You know, like that is basically it. But they still have the bones there. Maybe it's an ambulocetus? Maybe it's an ambulocetus? Right. Yeah, it's probably an ambulocetus, I would say. Give me 1 second and I'll open that in a... All right. So this is an Amblyocetus skeleton that we've found, right? Amblyocetus, it had hind legs, but it still has sort of the whale kind of head. It still has properties that the whales still share. It basically is somewhere in between a whale and a walking creature. And that's Amblyocetus. And we've got a long list of these going further and further with smaller and smaller legs, and the whale just fits perfectly on the end of that. It's so stupid. So think about the Basilosaurus, which I showed you. It's a whale with hind legs, essentially, and the blowhole in a bit of a different place. But I mean, there's other differences, sure, but this is not rocket science. We can see how this has changed from the fossil record.
Bones that have no function, really. Then you're stupid about your whale anatomy, okay? Just imagine.
No, we don't say they have no function. They're vestigial. They have a different function than they used to before.
Whales walking around. It's true. You found it. Yeah, okay, good.
Well, yeah, Geronimus, I don't debate to change. No, my opponent's not going to change their mind, and apologists aren't interested in them. No, absolutely not. The thing is that I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for the audience, because sort of saying that creationists can't have their minds changed is not true, because I've met people who are ex-creationists, right? Like I've met people who used to believe that and they don't. Oh, you just argued with Kent on. Did you bring up the Basilosaurus? Because that is hilarious when you show it to them. But you know, I'm good job. I didn't see it. If you want me to look at it, was it an actual debate or was it a just a call-in kind of thing? Like, you know, they say, oh, we have a debate, when really you're just calling in and trying to reason with an idiot. Like, I don't know. Was it like on Donnie's or something, or was it just call-in kind of thing? I don't know. Uncertain. It's all uncertain. Actually, Donnie hasn't had Kent on for a while. I wonder what's happened there.
These are the bones they're talking about. It's at Los Angeles Museum of Natural History. We were there 2 days ago. We didn't go to the museum. Thank you, brother. Perfect. Okay. That's the bone they're talking about right here, in a way.
Right, gotcha.
Whale's pelvis? No, sorry. There they are right there. Los Angeles Museum of Natural History.
Uh-huh.
Useless? No. Whales play hip.
No, nobody said they're useless. They said that they don't have the same function as they used to. And those are clearly pelvic bones. They're clearly pelvic bones. They're hips. Dude.
Whale hips play a sexy role. 2024. Whale hip bones, long left over from long ago days when these cetaceans walked on land, are not useless. Vestigial structures, as long believed, they're for sex. Researchers have...
No, they're vestigial because they don't have the same functionality. Like, you have a sort of... We have the bones of ancestors of whales with the limbs getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because if you don't need hind limbs, why grow them? Like, there's no point to growing them.
Now found that the size of whale and dolphin hip bones is linked to the size of the animal's penis. The larger the penis, the larger the bones needed to attach muscles for penis control, according to a new study published in the journal Evolution. Everyone always assumed if you give whales and dolphins a few more million years, the pelvic bones would disappear. Evolutionary biologists, those two words should not go together, at the University of Southern California. But it appears that's not the case. Controlling for body size, researchers compared the size of the whale and dolphin testes to the size of each species' pelvic bones. They found the larger the testes, the larger, relative to the body size, the larger the pelvis. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But just because it has some functionality doesn't mean it's not vestigial. It's just Kent has been told this again and again and again, and it doesn't get through his thick skull that vestigial does not mean useless. It can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that is the case. That is not necessarily the case. It's just, it never gets through his thick skull.
Okay, let's see. Pelvic bones found in modern whales are homologous to the pelvis and found in land vertebrates.
Yep.
They have no apparent function. This biology textbook author is.
And we see a progression of homologous structures in older fossils of whales, of things that look like whales. They're whales. They basically have those leg bones getting smaller and smaller and then disappearing, and just leaving those pelvic bones left over.
It's dumb. 35.
Well, I do have a picture of Kent Hovind lecturing about. I think I have a picture of Kent Hovind lecturing about whale penis. I think I have that somewhere. Where is it? I think I have that somewhere. Give me one sec. Oh, I have to replace. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there we go. There's a picture of Kent Hovind lecturing on whale penis. I'm very proud of that picture. I'm very proud of that picture. I'm incredibly proud of that picture. I gotta say. Too fun.
Years ago, tell him I said so. The whale's pelvis is evidence of its evolution from four-legged land-dwelling mammal. This is a lie. Video number 4, lies in the textbooks. Call that one up. Okay, cover 30, 40.
Yeah, so scientific discoveries are not upended by some geriatric man yelling at clouds, sitting there saying lie and then putting a lie over it. Like, that is not how science is refuted, Kent. Nobody cares that you think it's a lie. And, you know, your entire basis that it's a lie is your misunderstanding of what vestigial means, which at this point, considering the amount of times people have told you that vestigial means that it has different function, not no function, like, you just have to be lying at it. You are dishonest. But considering you are a convicted fraud and a you've been, you know, convicted of DV, you know, I would take the scientist's words over a criminal any day of the week.
How many lies? They're weakly developed in the whale and have no apparent function. Biology textbook. ICR did a great article on the whale, so-called whale pelvis. Whales, being the largest animals on Earth, have some impressive physical attributes, including their penis. The size of a whale's penis can vary on species, but here's some facts. Blue whales have the largest, 8 to 10 feet long.
And that's funny because Kent has this famously, he said, do you know a blue whale has a 15-foot penis? And it's like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have that, no. Because, you know, maybe Kent is just used to boasting and exaggerating the size of penises, you know, like he just, oh, yeah.
But now whenever I do this, AJ gets all excited talking about penises, doesn't he? Yeah, okay. We don't.
Like I said, AJ just lives in this guy's head, like rent-free. No one's forcing him to talk about this stuff. And he's just doing you know, trying to dig at somebody who's not, you know, like, everyone finds it creepy, to be honest with you, how obsessed this man is with dick. Everyone's creeped out. But he tries to say, oh, you love it when I do that. No, we really don't, Kent. You're weird. You're a weirdo.
Why to AJ? Okay. Diameter of 12 to 14 inches. Huh. You need some big bones and big muscles to control that thing, okay? Right whale.
Well, they're not big bones. Those pelvic bones are like the smallest in there. You know, they're very, very small. So you've just debunked yourself, Kent. You've said they need some big bones to control that, but they don't. That's the thing. They're very small. Do you not know how to tell the difference between big and small? Like, wow.
Sex involves a 1-ton testicles and 4 meter, that's almost 8 foot, 9 foot long. There it is right there. Come here, honey. Okay. The whale's penis is surprisingly agile, controlled by 2 muscles anchored around the pelvis.
Okay, this is getting creepy because, like, he just keeps, like, seriously.
Of an amazing design. If you look at the way your backbone changes, when you pass the pelvis, it's going to become totally different. the caudal spine beyond the pelvis in dogs, which is part of their tail, is different. Okay, you can compare all kinds of the anatomy of these things with the spinal ones. I have the
yes, and we have caudal bones in some humans when a mutation causes them to have the expression of the tail turned back on. That is what happens. We have those bones. We found them. Like, so your entire thing of, oh, well, they're totally different. Well, yeah, no joke. How is that in any way? Like, what the hell?
Spinous process on the sides and on the top. Okay. There we go. It changes right there at the hip bone. Same with cats, same with all these animals. Right there, it changes over. Structure of a canine tail. Right past the sacrum. There's a broken one here. Los Angeles Museum. They keep going. They look about the...
Yeah, you need big bones to control something like that. Are they big? Are they big bones? Because, like, just a vertebrae is, like, 5 times the size of them. My guy, are you... Like, if Kent thinks these are big bones, he is high or demented or maybe he's just too decrepit to tell the difference. These are not big bones for a blue whale. They're not. They're tiny.
Same. This is a long-term study if you want to go into all this. Do dogs have tails? Hamel arches? Yeah. The heart of a whale is huge. They're still teaching this whale pelvis, though.
What the hell has that got to do with anything? Oh, the whale heart is huge. That proves that evolution isn't a thing. What does that got to do with anything? This is supposedly the best evidence of evolution, and he has not mentioned DNA once, even when he put slides up that mention DNA. He doesn't mention it once.
At the University of Oklahoma when I was there. They say some large female whales have similar, though distinct, bones to assist in mating. Ambulocetus, pictured here, is mostly imagination.
Mostly imagination. Oh no, we've got the fossils, but it's imaginary. It's imaginary. Like, this isn't your god, Hovind. This isn't the magical man that never appears. This is actual fossils found by people and catalogued. It's not, like, seriously, what the hell?
Shark bones are the only ones they actually found. No pelvic bones. But they concluded what it looked like from the foot bone. Yeah, you can tell. Okay. Backbone of the quadrupedal mammal, Ambulocetus, ends at the pelvis, and powerful rear legs extend from it. This is typical land mammal anatomy. In whales, the backbone goes right down to the tail, and there is no pelvic bone at all. Who'd have thunk it? Okay. There we go. With the stipple bones were all that were found, and the bones colored red were found 5 meters above the rest. But they put them all together in one specimen, didn't they?
Yeah. Because it's not the only fossil that we found. This is Lucy all over again. No, but Lucy can't be correct. They didn't find all of her. Lucy is not the only one we found. It's not the only one. I'm just going to try and find how many we've found. Yeah, 80% finished specimen was found in Pakistan. That was the latest one. Several other partial skeletons and fossils of Ambulocetus has also been unearthed in the same region. So he's talking about one of the ones that were found that was not complete. But we do have an 80% finished specimen. Right? Because these people, they put them together from, they find all these fossils and they basically know that they're from the same animal. Like, they're not, like, this is the thing. He's got absolutely no clue how paleontology works at all, but he wants to sort of comment on paleontology.
16 feet above the rest. I thought you guys said the layers were different ages. How long did he wait around for his pelvis to show up? No, the pelvis came first. Pelvis evolved laying there for millions of years and didn't know what to do.
Okay, so with geological layers, just because it's a very thin layer in one area doesn't mean it's automatically thin everywhere else. Like, we separate the layers until, oh, wow, he is such a fucking moron. Like, seriously. The layer may have been a very thick layer. Like, we don't automatically go, well, all over the world, if it's, 1 meter, that means X amount of years. No, they compact at different rates. They have different things that it does. There's up, like, shifts. There's fractures. There's all kinds of things, which means that one side may go down, one side goes up. We don't just have this myopic view of, oh, well, if it's a meter, it's got to be 10,000 years. That is not what they're doing. You moron.
The rest of the whale evolved. I see. Okay. Basilosaurus.
Yes.
Could not possibly have been ancestral to modern whale.
Oh, I love how he leaves the back legs off the Basilosaurus here. I love how he does that.
They've known this for a long time, but you guys are still teaching it. Why should we believe any fossil we find was capable of doing something no animal today can do? Produce offspring other than their kind. No one's ever...
Nobody knows what a kind is. A kind is whatever's convenient for Kent Hovind to explain, how things were created. Nobody's knows what a kind is. And he separates humans and chimpanzees into different kinds, but others like, different types or different species of, like, say, rats and mice. They're the same kind, but they're more genetically different than humans and chimpanzees. Why? Who knows? Who knows? Because they're making that shit up as they go along.
Seen any of these connections. There are 49 recognized species of turtles and tortoises. Probably had a common ancestor called a turtle or tortoise. There are, 7,300 some types of frogs.
Oh, this man is like a broken record. I swear I've heard this a million times before.
What, 50,000 of them now for $100 on a thumb drive? I really take time to go through. One more thought and we'll quit. Here we go. Vestigial organs. American Museum of Natural History. Wrong. Look closely. Pythons and boa constrictors have tiny hind leg bones buried in muscles toward their tail end. Such features, either useless or poorly suited to performing specific tasks, are described as vestigial. They're intriguing evidence of the evolutionary history of species. What? We had the skin from a 15.5-foot albino Burmese python in our museum in Dinosaur Adventureland in Pensacola. You can see near the south end of that critter, these little claws sticking out and the bones going up into the body. Huh. What on earth is that for? That's for mating. See? They say it's rudimentary hind legs of a python snake. No, they're not rudimentary hind legs.
Yeah, they are, because when they actually start to form as an embryo, they actually get leg buds and then even rudimentary bones, and they start to form femurs and even claws before they disintegrate. So they do start to develop legs and then they stop. Like, so these structures like disintegrate before hatching due to genetic changes. So basically they have leftovers, which are spurs, right? But they do actually form legs as an embryo, or at least the start of legs. So femurs and claws. And then basically those structures disintegrate, just leaving the spur. So you're wrong.
The snake doesn't have any arms and he cannot talk. To say, scoot over, honey. These claws are used during mating to maneuver their mate into position. They do not have anything to do with legs, and they never...
And why don't they have arms? Well, if you believe Kent, it's because a woman who was created from a rib of a man created from dust, that woman convinced the man to eat a magic fruit. That's why snakes crawl on their bellies. That is his explanation. Yep, sounds convincing to me. Sounds really convincing to me.
Never did. Vestigial snake legs debunked. Snakes do not have hind legs. That's evidence for evolution.
Yep, they form hind legs in the embryonic stage, which then disintegrate because they turn off that gene expression.
So here's the summary from the Libra text.
Libra is just an open source thing. I would not take it as a credible source.
Scientists compare the anatomy, embryos, DNA of living things to understand.
And he did not mention DNA in the slightest because he doesn't want to go there.
And how they evolved. Hovind says, scientists compare the anatomy, embryos, and DNA of living things to make claims they evolve, so they don't have to admit there's a designer. They know if they had to admit that all life forms are designed, their students will ask, who's the designer? And they don't know him. That's why they choose evolution.
Oh yeah, it's all a conspiracy. It's all conspiracy, right? Like it's all just all of these Christian scientists, they're in on the conspiracy. All of these scientists, they're in on the conspiracy. What a joke. Like seriously, no. No, it's just this has a ton of evidence behind it, and your designer has literally nothing. Your book says a thing. That is the entirety of the evidence against evolution in your eyes. It's crazy. But he has his conclusion before he goes out there. He has the conclusion and just wants to make it work. This was not, evolution is not, hey, we had the conclusion. It is, we had to put all of this together. And that's what the evidence supports. So if you want to debunk evolution, get evidence, publish a paper, do the right thing, and try and knock it down scientifically, which they never do. They never do.
Invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. When they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. They think they're smart, but they became fools. They did not like to retain God in their knowledge. That's where we are today. God gave them over to a reprobate mind. Anyway, okay, comments, questions?
Yeah, I don't really care what Paul says. I really don't care that Paul, suddenly says, oh, well, they've got a reprobate mind, or I don't believe in God. Yeah, no, typical cult leader stuff, right? Like a cult leader does this kind of thing. Well, if you don't believe that I'm special, you are full of evil. It's cult stuff.
Questions, Joseph?
Yes, sir. 762 by 39 Joe says, wow, I can't believe how bad Kent's interpretation of evolution is.
So this is comments from the audience. Yeah, I can't believe how bad his interpretation of evolution is as well. But I think it's like that on purpose. He's making an argument from incredulity. And that always helps when you can straw man your opponent and say, hey, this is what he believes, and make it sound ridiculous. And I mean, I did it myself. I basically said, the magic man tricked a woman, into eating a magic fruit. That's a straw man. But since Kent does it all the time, I see no reason to hold back on him. Like, he does it all the time.
Can't believe how bad my interpretation of evolution is.
That's what he says. Apparently you're straw man.
It's pretty incredible.
Apparently you're ignorant.
That's not an argument. Apparently you're ignorant.
I understand what you believe. You believe. Oh, ask him back there, Joseph, whoever the name was. Do you believe humans, including yourself, are related to, let's see, a sunflower?
Okay, so this is a conflation, another straw man of Kent. So when we talk about related in common parlance, and I've pointed out this conflation again and again and again. When we talk about related, I would say, hey, I'm related to my brother, but I'm not related to Kent Hovind, right? Like, that's how we would talk in ordinary parlance. So, when we say related, it sort of refers to our immediate or extended family, right? Like my cousin, I'm related to them kind of thing. But he's using it in a sense that is, well, you have a genetic, some kind of genetic ancestry. And that's what it means in biology. So all this is just Kent conflating and then making an argument from incredulity. So he's trying to make it seem and strawman, so it's like, you think that your cousin was an amoeba. By saying related, that's what his conflation is, and then say, well, I'm incredulous that the amoeba is my cousin. But he's conflating the terms, because when we say related, it just means you have genetic compatibility, which we do. We have genetic compatibility with everything.
Yes or no? Do you believe you're related to a sunflower?
In a biological sense, yes. In a familial sense, no.
Bobby wants to know where the python skin is. Why don't we have?
So the question to ask him is, what do you mean by related? Like, what do you mean by that?
The python scan. Let me back up a few here. Joseph, I have waited 10 years to answer this question. I think it's time. When I was taken off to prison, I put my son in charge of everything in Pensacola, 12 properties, all my museum stuff, everything. When I got
Yeah. So when you committed tax fraud by structuring your payments to avoid tax, and then you gave the prosecutor a hard time and tried to hide your assets, which I have the documents all to show this was the case, he basically got put in prison for 10 years. It probably shouldn't have been as severe, but he was Kent Hovind. He was a complete arse about it. So being a complete arse to the prosecution and making their lives hard is probably why he got 10 years. Because judges and prosecutors don't like that kind of stuff. I believe he tried to sue the prosecutor, which is just silly. And so when he did, his then wife and son got sick of him, and basically he transferred all his assets into his son's name, trying to avoid giving it up as in lieu of payments and things. He was doing all kinds of shifty stuff to hide his assets, and they just didn't give it back. But they don't have to, because you gifted it to them, right? Like, if you won't say, oh, well, I only loaned it to them, because then you would have to actually give it over to the IRS, wouldn't you, Ken? No, you're being dodgy and it bit you in the ass because they were sick of your crap.
Out. First day, my wife said, I'm divorcing you. I'm scared of the IRS after 42 years of marriage.
It's my personal opinion that she didn't say that. She just said she's sick of his crap because she went to jail because he basically forced her to do these payments and stuff. And she did less time because she was less obnoxious to the prosecution, the judge, and everybody around them. You would think this man would learn, but apparently he doesn't.
Never touch another woman, okay? You can't stop a divorce in Florida.
That is not the reasons for a divorce. Look, if my wife, decided to take out payments in a way that was structuring and, got into trouble for it, dragged me into their plots and their schemes, I went to jail because of her, I would be very angry with her as well. It wouldn't be at the IRS, it would be at her. Because there is a phone call recorded that I have heard, and I believe I've got a copy of, that she is absolutely tired of his schemes. She wasn't afraid of the IRS. She was sick of you, Ken. That's my opinion.
My son said, Dad, while you were gone, I put everything in my name. Well, these are all mine now. All the museum stuff. I said, he gave me some of it when I came up here, but he still got it. Still got the Ica stones. I've asked him 100 times, son, would you just give me my stuff back?
Why don't you go to court to get it back if it's really yours, Kent? It's because he didn't put it all in his name. You transferred it all to him to avoid paying tax, man. That's why. That's my opinion of why it happened. Because if you thought that was legally yours, you would go to court to get it back. But you don't. You just make videos lying to people about the reasons why he has it. That's all you do. And quite frankly, I don't blame them for not wanting anything to do with you because you lie constantly. Constantly.
Sorry, Dad. He's had me trespass, so if I come on the property, he'll have me arrested. My own property. Well, I was. So it's sad. He's down in Pensacola. You call him. Say, when are you going to return your dad's stuff?
Stop getting people to do your dirty work for you, Kent. So, see, this is what he does. And you can see this evidently, right? I can't legally get my properties from my son because of my actions. So I'm going to tell my cult followers, call him up and hassle him. If he thought he really had a legal basis for that property, he would take him to court and get it back. But he knows he doesn't, in my opinion. He knows he doesn't. That's my opinion. So he doesn't. What he does is he tries to get his sycophants, his cult followers, to do his dirty work for him. And that's what got him into trouble in the first place. This kind of lying and cheating and stealing. Dude, stop.
It's not his, it's mine. Okay, that's your position. Rather have...
Well, if it's not a legal position, why don't you challenge him on it, Kent? Because you damn well know that you would lose because he has a legal right to it.
Python skin than your dad. That's, I think, pretty sad. So, Bobby, we got the other skin in there, but only a few of them have these claws. Pythons and a couple, I forget what's it say here? Pythons and they have these claws. It's used for mating, nothing to do with
boa constrictors.
Evolution. So I wish I had a better answer, Bobby, for you. I've tried and tried and tried. Just
oh, poor Kent. Oh, do not feel sorry for this man. He is actively trying to get his followers to hassle his son because he won't give him all of his assets that he tried to hide away when he went to jail. Do not feel sorry for this man. He is a manipulator. He is trying to make his audience feel sorry for him to, do a harassment campaign against his own damn son. Do not feel sorry for this man. He is a piece of crap.
Return the stuff. It's not yours, Dad. Okay.
No, it isn't yours. No. He's got if you gave ownership over to him, then he has a right to it. And it's my opinion, and I bet you anything that he transferred it in order to hide his assets. To basically try and keep hold of things. He was basically trying to defraud the IRS, because that's what he's always done. He's a tax protester. Like, we've got videos of him telling people, like, sovereign citizen stuff, like, you don't have to pay your taxes because that's not right, kind of thing. Like, he's a liar.
Can't argue with that. Let him go. I'll get other things to do.
Oh, yeah. You've got better things to do than reclaim all this stuff that you're whinging and moaning about. Oh, yeah, sure, Kent. Sure you do. You're just aware you have no legal right to that stuff whatsoever. So you gave up, except you didn't give up, did you? You want to get your followers in trouble by doing harassment against your son. You moron.
Okay.
Jeremy wants to know, is Dinosaur Adventureland open for Christmas?
We're open all the time. We live here. Come on up.
Yeah, technically, it is registered as a homeless shelter. Yeah, that's what it's registered as for tax purposes, a homeless shelter. So he gives people, sort of says, oh, come into Dinosaur Adventureland and bring your kids and stuff. Yeah, you're going to a homeless shelter, not a theme park. It's not registered as a theme park because he doesn't want to pay taxes on a theme park. And that's why it's free to go, because nobody in their right mind would go there otherwise.
All right. Are there any historical writings that date back to when the Lord was on the earth during his ministry?
Are there historical writings about?
No. The lot closest we've got is I believe it's Mark, which is like 30 to 35, somewhere in between there. So maybe like soon after he died, but nothing actually contemporary. No.
Back to when the Lord?
Actually, 30 or 30. No, it's 70 to 75. It was like 30 to 40 years after. So there's nothing contemporary that we have.
Was here. Well, talk about the time of Jesus Christ. Yeah, we have a lot of historical writings from that time frame.
That time frame, like 30 to 40 years afterwards, Kent? No, like when he was on Earth. Hang on, what does the other thing say? Hang on a second. During his ministry. Yeah, no. Quick answer, no, they don't. They don't have anything like that.
Probably AV Publications would know the answer to that one. Authorized.
Wow, this is supposed to be Pastor Kent Hovind. Doesn't know anything about... Wow, okay. Just... Oh, I don't know about that. I don't want to answer it. So go and talk to somebody else. This is his dodge. He dodges. He basically, if he doesn't want to answer something, he just goes, oh, well, I don't know about that one. I haven't read up on it. I'll look up that for next time. And next time, surprisingly, he hasn't read up about it at all, which is hilarious.
AV Publications. Gail Ripley, Rasker. Yeah, I got all the books up here from that time frame that I know of. Josephus, the books of Enoch. A lot of those are forgeries.
Josephus did do. Well, it wasn't so much a forgery as the church interpolated. They put stuff in that wasn't originally in there.
So I'd be cautious with.
But that wasn't from Jesus's time of Jesus's ministry either. That's the thing.
That, but it's not my specialty. Okay, I don't know. I don't have an answer. Other questions?
Yeah, the guy said everything is related at some point. Genetics proves that.
Yep, sure does.
So genetics prove. Look, think that everything's related because of genetics. Joseph, I have nearly 4,000 books in my library. All of them use the same 26 letters of the English alphabet. That proves something to somebody somewhere. That is such a dumb argument.
Yeah, but that information in a book is not replicated by a book breeding with another book and producing a book that is a combination of the two of those books. You moron. Those books are created by somebody coming along and writing a new book. But we know that that is not the only way for organisms to pass along information. So you're a moron because you don't realize that books don't breed and create books that are a combination of the two stories. Ugh. Like, seriously, the stupidity of this man.
The fact that there are genetics that are common in each of the different animals proves the same guy wrote the code. Doesn't prove they're related. How can you not look outside that little tiny box?
No, it doesn't prove that, because the books are not breeding and creating new books that are combinations of the... Wow, okay, this man, I swear. So does that mean that every single organism has been written down by God? Like, it's not genetics that's doing it. It is God coming in and going, oh, well, I'm going to take these two books and copy them into one book. Where is that happening, Kent? You need to support that if you're saying that's what's happening. Because we've got perfectly good mechanisms, such as passing over, recombination, for like combining two sets of chromosomes into one set of chromosomes that have traits from both sets of chromosomes that contributed to it. You're basically saying, no, that doesn't happen. A guy, magic man, comes along and then he writes down what the new one's going to be based upon those two. Come on. You've got to back that up with something besides your imagination, sir.
Box you're stuck in. Get out of the box. It's a big world out there. There's a designer who used that code.
Get off the God bus, sir. You're on the God bus. You've been there all your life. There's an emergency exit out the back. Just push it. Roll. Like, seriously, this is nonsense.
Very complex code to make all the creatures. I've said many times, I bet Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint have thousands and thousands of identical lines of code.
Yes, but they do not breed and produce another version of themselves.
Because the same guys are writing the code. I bet if I check spell check in Microsoft Word, it'll take me to the same billion lines of code that I do when I do it in PowerPoint. Same dictionary. It's not proof of evolution. It's proof the same guys are writing the code. The similarities in DNA of all the different creatures is evidence for design. God made it. Okay, go ahead.
Creationist Crybaby says, Kent, vestigial does not mean organ.
And here we go again. This is Creationist Crybaby, absolute legend. Vestigial, and this is what he's been told again and again. And this was just from, like, I think about a week ago or something. Like, seriously, he's been told this so many times, and he keeps strawmanning what it means. And this is just another example.
Body part is useless. A vestige is a trace or visible sign left by something lost or vanished.
So, Crybaby, do you believe man lost his tail? Is what we see now. The evidence is there's a little bone back there, the Coccyx 9.
Why don't you actually acknowledge that that's what vestigial means?
5 of them, it's different in some people. Anyway, you think that, if you want to count the fused ones or the unfused, okay? Do you believe your ancestors used to have a functioning tail, okay? Is that what you're saying? I understand the word.
Well, considering the babies that I've shown who are born with tails, some of them with bones in that tail, then yeah, that's solid evidence that they did, because we have the genes that can grow a tail. We just need those genes to be expressed. That's all.
Vestigial, vestigial, etc., like that. Let's see. Let me show. Is it your position, Crybaby, that man used to have a tail, but lost it because we didn't need it? Let's see. And the reason we are losing it. This is what you're trying to not say is, yes, it used to be longer and we're losing it. Is that your position? If so, you're dead wrong about biology and anatomy.
No, he's not. He's not. Because you don't have a good grasp on biology and anatomy. Because if you looked into the genetics, we still have the genetics in order to make a tail. It's just not expressed. This is basic stuff.
Okay, other questions?
He didn't answer the question. He didn't even acknowledge it. This is the deception of Kent Hovind, why he's such a liar. Because like someone will point him out to him what something means in science, and if it's inconvenient, he just ignores it. Or he says, oh, well, I understand that, and then goes back to using his original definition. He does not in any way acknowledge that that's what the actual definition is. And he even pointed out that a vestige, where it's taken from, means a remnant, which means that something's still there. Doesn't mean it's lost completely, right? That's a vestige means it's still hanging around, and it may have a function. And he just doesn't actually do anything because it's inconvenient for him. I mean, what Creationist Crybaby said is absolutely true. In biology, that's what vestigial means. That is 100% true. Kent doesn't like it. Because it's inconvenient.
That's about it.
Okay.
Well, the same guy wants to know how you're smarter than all the other scientists.
I never claimed I was smarter than all the scientists, but if you believe you came from a rock and everything came from a dot of nothing explosion.
Okay, so we don't think we came from a rock. We think that chemicals combined to create us, right? Like that's basically chemicals. So the chemicals that came through are from water. They're from earth. They're from air, right? The oxygen from air. Hello, John. Why don't we say we came from all kinds of different sources? No, because rock is where he conflates. He basically wants an argument from incredulity, so he strawmans what actual abiogenesis says and then tries to make it so incredulous. Here, I'll show you how it's done. No, we didn't come from a rock. We came from a magic man who cast spells, who got some dust and did some magic in order for a human to burst forth somehow because your magic man has superpowers. That's basically what he's doing.
You are really stupid. Real stupid. Tell him I said so.
Tell who? Tell who you said so. This entire shtick is like, oh, you're real stupid. Tell him I said so. Tell who? Who am I telling? Who am I telling? What are you talking about? Tell him I said so. Nobody cares what you say. Like, seriously, you are just something to laugh at this point.
Okay. That's why somebody said, I don't like your degree. Okay. Call me Bubba. Call me Kent. Call me Hey You. If they come out of college with a PhD in something and they believe they're related to a potato and they came from a rock, I don't have much respect for their degree either.
Yeah, but they know what they're talking about. And the times where you've interacted with scientists, you've had your ass handed to you. Like, you've interacted with Erica and she absolutely demolished you because she knows what she's talking about and you don't know anything. You don't even know that vestigial doesn't mean completely useless. If vestigial means completely useless, then you're vestigial, Kent. You're vestigial.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, huh?
No, they're going to, like, you know, science symposiums and doing papers and things like that. You're sitting there, you know, convincing the gullible and trying to bilk them out of their money and rope them into harassment campaigns against your son. You should probably go back to jail, Kent. You should probably go back to prison, and I hope you do.
All right. Tomorrow night, open chance.
Okay, well, that's about it. He's now talking about tomorrow night and stuff. I love that Creationist Crybaby. Oh, yeah, just the mandatory, buy my DVDs. See, this is what Kent's doing. He's selling DVDs full of vestigial information that, you know, just make him money for. This is why, because he makes his money off conning people, as he's done all of his life. He's a con man. It's what he does. It's who he is. And I love that picture that he used that was him with a surgical instrument and a fistful of cash, you know, because that's really the picture that should really be emblematic of Kent Hovind, just grasping at cash. That's what he's here for. It, you know, he will say anything, he will do anything, he will tell people bull crap, he will misrepresent anything. He just wants their money. Buy my DVDs. Send me that money. Vestigial DVDs, absolutely. To date, human numbers of life come from non-limiting chemicals. God is supernatural, not magic. Magic is supernatural. I mean, you might have a different definition of supernatural than me, but magic is supernatural. So, yeah, I call it magic because it's magic. It's a supernatural power. That is magic. Congratulations. You've just found a definition. Yeah, so magic. By the way, we've actually found all five base chemicals on the Bennu asteroid. This came in very recently. It was really cool. So Bennu, the asteroid that they sent probes up to, which is awesome. It contains all of the nucleobases. So it contains all 5 DNA and RNA components. And it contains 14 of the 20 protein-building amino acids we found in Earth life. So I'll just show this because I really want you to know this, Chris. I really want you to know this, understand it, assimilate it. What's happening here. So we found evidence of ancient brine, salty water, carbon, crucial for Earth's formations. 14 of the 20 protein-building amino acids found in Earth's life. All 5 nuclear bases found in DNA and RNA. They've also found essential sugars like ribose for RNA, glucose, and galactose discovered. And they found phosphates there. And they also found a gum-like substance, ammonia, and diverse organic compounds. So they've actually found organic compounds on an asteroid, Bennu, a near-Earth asteroid. So the question would be, if God created humans from dust, or, Adam from dust and Eve from his rib, why is he putting organic compounds on asteroids? Maybe you could answer that one. Maybe you can have a think about it. But this does this leans me in the direction of sort of a pangenesis, like the panspermia RNA world sort of hypothesis, that life may actually have started on asteroids, and the heating and cooling was once suggested, and I didn't think much of it, was suggested of a rotating asteroid into the sun, out of the sun, into the sun, out of the sun. A rotating asteroid could have caused the heating and cooling necessary for life to get started. Really cool stuff, but we don't know for sure, right? We don't know for sure. Like, nobody's saying, hey, this is definitely how it started. It's just with a God hypothesis of, hey, he created everything on Earth from dust or from the Earth. Why is he also going up and throwing organic compounds on asteroids is a really good question. It's a really good question. I don't know what apologetic they'll come up for that one, but I'm sure they'll have something. I'm sure they will have something. Anyway, that should do, guys. Demon Souls, you know what? I am a huge Elden Ring fan. I gotta say, John, I'm all into Elden Ring, 100%. I did like Dark Souls, but not as much. I found Elden Ring to be awesome, but thank you. Was the No! It's an asteroid! It's an asteroid, dude. What are you talking about? No! It's in space. It's in a near-Earth orbit. Okay, so asteroids are in space, right? So that's what an asteroid is. It's in space. A meteor hits Earth's atmosphere and it generally breaks up. Okay, well, it does break up if it's a meteor, right? And a meteorite is one that actually hits the Earth, because the way I remember it, I've been told this by somebody, I remember it because a meteorite has the right stuff to hit the Earth. So an asteroid is out in space, a meteor has gone into the atmosphere, and a meteorite has hit the Earth, and we have some remnant of it left. So it's not a meteorite, it's an asteroid. It's in an orbit around Earth, and we don't think it's going to reach the atmosphere at all, which would be a meteor at that point. Okay, so that's how they designate it. Okay. Life tends to lean toward... No, it doesn't. What are you talking about? It doesn't lean towards decay. What are you talking about? Life doesn't lean towards decay. I have no idea what you're talking about. We found 14. Wow. Oh, have you not played? Anyway, well... Okay, that'll about do it for roasting Kent Hovind. Look, dude, seriously, if you don't know what you're talking about, please look up the studies on asteroid Bennu. It's really quite fascinating what they found up there. They found some sort of goo that we don't see on Earth, like it's something new that we haven't found before, but these organic compounds have sort of shown up. We've seen them on Earth, but there's some kind of goo that we've not seen before, which is weird. It's kind of strange, but that's okay. Hey, look, it could just be kicking the can down the road. Maybe life came from somewhere else. We don't know where it came from. maybe it's kicking the can down the road. We don't know. But it just sort of brings into question the God creating on Earth hypothesis. It really does demolish that. Genetic entropy is not a thing. Genetic entropy is not a thing. It's not been acknowledged. It's not been accepted. There was a paper by Dr. Dan Stern-Cardinal which absolutely destroyed it. Absolutely destroyed Basner and Stanford's paper on it, and I can show you that one. They made mistakes in their genetics. So there was a famous paper by Basner and Stanford that was, we call it BS, the BS paper, where they basically categorized and tried to do the maths for genetic entropy, but they made mistakes. And there was another paper brought out by my good friend, Dr. Dan Stern-Cardinal, who just destroyed it. So genetic entropy isn't a thing. It's not a thing that happens. Hasn't been proven to happen. The people from Answers in Genesis that cry genetic entropy, they get messed up because they confuse mutation rate with substitution rate. So they sort of go, oh, well, there's so many mutations happening, it's got to be entropic because most mutations are detrimental. But those mutations don't get fixed in the organism's standard DNA, which is the substitution rate, how often those actually get into the genome of the organisms. So they're counting mutation rate when they should be counting substitution rate. So they're actually making a complete fallacy. Well, show me his paper then. Show me Carter's paper, right? Show me Carter's paper. Because you can talk the talk, but until you're producing a paper, you ain't walking the walk. So where, tell me cite that paper. I will not hold my breath. I will not hold my breath. Where did this Carter publish? Yeah, probably Answers in Genesis, I would guess, because that's the only place that Dr. Carter has any kind of credible reputation, is in, non-scientific places like Answers in Genesis, or, Creation Ministry International, where, nobody takes them seriously. But anyway, do be kind to yourself. Do be kind to each other. Be kind to each other. Like, seriously, this whole thing about, attacking AJ, he's still doing it. And, this is something that Kent Hovind's been doing for ages. He doesn't like AJ because AJ challenged him. It's a, one of his narcissistic traits that people challenge him and he goes, really hard in on them. It's absolutely horrible. No, genetic entropy is not even a thing in science, dude. Seriously, you're being lied to. Chris, you're being lied to. It's not accepted in science. Like in genetics, it's not a thing. Population geneticists are not saying that. Like, you're just being lied to. They're just lying to you. That, people in genetics are accepting this. No, they're not. Because they're mixing up the mutation rate for the substitution rate. That's all they're doing. And, please, I'm still waiting on that paper. So yeah, the way to challenge science is not to sort of tell everybody that genetic entropy is a thing, everybody accept it, get your followers in, rile up your base, get all of the creationists to believe in genetic entropy and then pressure the scientists into acknowledging it. That's not how it works. You publish papers, you have them peer reviewed, you have that accepted into science. So yeah, go try that. Anyway, take care, everybody. What do we have coming up? And if you could like, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out the channel a great deal. I want to try and grow more this year. I know it's not a new year yet, but I do want to try and grow a bit more, get some more debates, get some more sort of, if I can get a lot more people, I can maybe go for some bigger name debates and, really get some big names. And I would like to try to do that. Yeah, no, he hasn't published over 20 papers in secular journals. No, he hasn't. No, they published one paper, and that was in the Mathematics of Genetics, not even a standard genetic journal. It's in the mathematics of it. Yeah. Yeah. No, genetics low's fine. It's just, it does, like, when you have genetic load, deleterious mutations pile up until purifying selection removes them from the genome. It doesn't, there's no genetic entropy. And plus, all of the live experiments that we've got running, they don't have genetic entropy happening. If genetic entropy was true, then the longest running experiments on evolution would see their populations collapse, and they don't. Right? They just don't. I'm thinking the Lenski labs, for instance. Is it Lenski labs? Lenski? I think it's Lenski. You're evidently not up to date. Okay, buddy. Yeah, when you get that paper, let me know, because you don't seem to have anything. Seriously, dude, I actually talk to people in the field. Anyway, whatever. Sure. Yeah, you just keep believing that. Just keep giving them your money. Sure. All right. Well, do take care, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.